are going to finish The Stranger. So you are going to need your notebook that has your questions on it and a writing utensil. If you don't already have one, you're going to need that. And so I'm going to show you, I'm going to share my screen again. And I'm going to use my dot camera. And there we go. Pull this over and admit somebody. All right. So here are questions that we use. So I'm going to wait and just make sure everybody's got their notebooks and their page. So you can just continue on with the page that you already wrote your questions on. And we are just going to review some of the sentence starters that you can use on your questions. So you can start with I wonder, and why, what if, I don't understand, I'm still confused about. So today we might still have some I am confused abouts in there. So as we go on with the book, but we're going to finish The Stranger today. And in the book, I'll just kind of review. I think, do we have, I'm hoping Cole made it today. So a little bit of a reminder about what the book looked like and what we started as. So we had The Stranger, and by Chris Van Allsburg. And in the story, we started with when Mr. Bailey hit something in the road. And then we went on with that I'm still stalling just to make sure everybody's ready to move on. And then he finds out that he's actually hit a man. And so he takes him home. And the family finds that he's very interesting and they think he might be a hermit. And then they call the doctor because he doesn't seem to know anything. He doesn't seem to talk. So the doctor comes and says he thinks he has amnesia, can't remember things, but that he'll probably get better. And so they decide to go ahead and keep him and help him recover. And so they give him some clothes and they feed him. And we found out yesterday that he found some things very strange, like steam. And he didn't seem to know how to put on his clothes with buttons. And here he is, they were watching outside, and he seemed to be having conversations with bunnies. And then the next day, Mr. Bailey had him help him work on the farm. And on the farm, they were working on hay. And it was interesting because it seemed as if the stranger never got tired. And then here was our last page we ended with that he was spending some time with the family. And again, he noticed that there were some birds in the air, and he seemed to be fascinated by those birds that were flying south for what would be fall soon. All right. And now we're going to move on. All right. So if on your notebook, as I'm reading, we're going to be drivers, and we're going to be thinking about what's going on in the story. We're going to be coming up with questions that we're wondering about. We're going to add them to the chat, or if Mrs. Aubin sees that somebody has their hand up and that they want to share that way, we can do some of those as well. But I will go here. So I think we've reviewed. All right, here we go. 2 weeks passed, and the stranger still could not remember who he was. But the Baileys didn't mind. They liked having the stranger around. He had become one of the family. Day by day, he'd grown less timid. He seems to be happy to be around us, Mr. Bailey said to his wife. It's hard to believe he's a hermit. Yesterday we talked about, what's a hermit? All right, so you should be adding a question. What are you thinking about the story today? Here are a few of those sentence stems. If you have a good question, you could put it in the chat, or you could raise your hand.
So I see some questions. Can you hear me, Mrs. Harrison?
I can.
So it looks like we have, why are they dancing? How does he know how to dance? Why is he dancing? Is something about his family? I'm not sure what that question says. That's about all I see so far.
Okay. So we're aiming for trying to come up with maybe one question per page. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. So if you're finishing that question, I'll let you finish that one too. So here's our next page. All right. Looking at all the details. I love the illustrations in this book. Another week passed. Farmer Bailey could not help noticing how peculiar the weather had been. Not long ago, it seemed that autumn was just around the corner. But now it still felt like summer, as if the seasons couldn't change. The warm days made the pumpkins grow larger than ever. The leaves on the trees were as green as they had been 3 weeks before. That makes me think of lots of questions.
So we have some new questions, Mrs. Harrison, from Ben. Is the pumpkin big? Jensen is wondering, what is the tree on the side? Why can't he remember after 2 weeks? Isabella is wondering. Marin is wondering what room they are in. Lila was wondering who he is. Keep them coming, guys.
Yeah, you're
Great
great.
comprehension skill strategy.
So I did hear a question about this here. What it seems to be a tree. It's a stack of probably straw or hay. It doesn't look like hay. It's probably a pack of straw. Some branches perhaps. But it's bound together. That's something that they did in the field. All right, are you ready to move on? Here we go. One day the stranger climbed to the highest hill on the Bailey farm. He looked to the north and saw a puzzling sight. The trees in the distance were bright red and orange, but the trees to the south, like those around the Baileys, were nothing but shades of green. They seemed so drab and ugly to the stranger. It would be much better, he thought, if the trees could be red and orange.
Why can't he get tired? Robert is wondering. Why are they loading pumpkins? Max is wondering. And Elena says the pumpkins are so big. Why are the pumpkins so big? Is he hypnotized? I think that might be from Lyric. Why is he so happy? Sunny is wondering. Who is that man? Robert asked. And here's a good one from Jensen too. Why are the trees in the back green, but in the front, says, why are the trees in the back green? I think maybe the different colored leaves on the trees, wondering why.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Excellent. I definitely have some I wonders and some what if questions in my head. All right. I think the author is giving us some clues as we go along. Hopefully you're being a good reading detective, and with your questioning and driving, you're going to get maybe some clues here real soon about your answers. The stranger's feelings grew stronger the next day. He couldn't look at the tree's green leaves without sensing that something was terribly wrong. The more he thought about it, the more upset he became, until finally he could think of nothing else. He ran to a tree and pulled off a leaf. He held it in his trembling hand, and without thinking, he blew on it with all his might. Definitely has
Henrik, what question do you have after hearing this part of the story? Can you unmute and share with us? What question did you write down?
He looks really shocked. He looks really shocked.
So are you wondering why does he look shocked?
Yeah.
Can you show me where you wrote that down in your spiral? Where's your pencil and paper, honey? Can I see it?
I didn't really write it down. I just think in my head.
Okay, so your assignment today, Henrik, is to write it down. So put the costume away and get your pencil in your hand and let's start writing. So I want you to get a capital letter at the beginning and you're gonna say, why is he shocked? And put your question mark. Good
So
job,
did
Henrik.
anybody notice that in the words it said that he had a green leaf in his hand? But did anybody notice in the picture what color the leaf is now? Does that give anybody some ideas?
Well, we have some great questions here. Lila's wondering, why does the man think green is gross? Why is he in pain? Is he good? What if his favorite colors are orange and red?
I think he thinks it's gross because it's the color of barf.
Maybe. Lila says, why are there ducks? And then Robert's wondering the same, why are there ducks?
So I'm
Your
thinking because
clue.
the Baileys live on a farm, there's some farm animals. That makes some sense. All right, here we go. More details that might help us with our mystery. At dinner that evening, the stranger appeared dressed in his old leather clothes. By the tears in his eyes, the Baileys could tell that their friend had decided to leave. He hugged them all once, then dashed out the door. The Baileys hurried outside to wave goodbye, but the stranger had disappeared. The air had turned cold, and the leaves on the trees were no longer green.
Jensen's wondering, why is he
There
crying?
is nothing trees.
Noah's wondering, why was he dressed like that?
And bye. Like it said messages like this, okay?
Josh Lewis
Okay.
wonders, why did he blow on the leaf? And so Max is wondering that too.
Very good. I love how you're driving your thinking, my friends. You're not just enjoying the book and just being a passenger. You're really thinking about things as you're going along. Why was he sad? Why is he crying? And why did he change back to his own clothes? And why is the author, I'm thinking, why the author seems to be really focused on the color of the leaves in these last few pages. I wonder what the author is trying to hint to us. All right, here we go. Last picture, last page. Every autumn, since the stranger's visit, the same thing happens at the Bailey farm. The trees that surround it stay green for a week after the trees north have turned. Then overnight, they change their color to the brightest of any trees around. The etched in frost on the farmhouse windows are words that simply say, "See you next fall." So one of the things we've been talking about is questioning. In questioning, we came up with questions before the book. We come up with questions as we're reading. And even at the end of the book, we can still be questioning and wondering some things. Oh, different one? Oh, sorry. All right.
So I have questions like, why did he leave? Do you think he controls the weather? Lila Mars is wondering. Why does he want to leave? Lucas is wondering. Haley wants to know, why did he run away? Where did the stranger go? What if he comes back? Logan's wondering. Why did he do that? Isabella wants to know.
So I have a question to see if you guys can answer. Who do you think the stranger is now? That you've been given some clues from the author. Who do you think the stranger is? And what evidence do you have about?
A magic man.
Okay, Finn says a magic man. Why do you think that, Finn? You're muted.
When he left, the colors finally changed, but when he was there, they just stayed green.
Those are very good clues to who he is. You're right. Anybody else have any ideas about who he could be?
So hard for me to see with the screen being shared. So just
I
scrolling
can, you know what,
through
I think I perfectly timed this. I can undo this for sure.
because now I can see someone's got their hand up. Okay, I
There you
think
go.
it was Lila Morris. Did you have an idea, my dear?
No.
Okay, Serne, I see your hand is up. Can you unmute to share your idea?
What happened?
Okay, Serne, I didn't hear your idea. Do you want to repeat it?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now. Okay, I'm going to move on to Sunny. Sunny, do you want to share? I see your hand is up.
I think he's like magic because he can like change the colors, but he forgot that he was like magic when he got ran over.
Hey, Cooper, how about you? Good thinking, Sunny. What about you, Cooper?
I think he's a tree.
Can you say it closer to your computer so we can hear?
I think he's a tree.
A tree. Why do you think that? What evidence do you have?
Because the leaves wouldn't change while he was there, but when he left, they changed.
Okay, thank you for supporting your inference there. Let's hear from Astria.
I think he's an animal. He turned into an animal
And why do you think that?
because he had like a connection with the animals.
I like how you supported your inference. I see that it looks like Lyric has her hand up. Lyric? We can't hear you, Lyric. Can you get close to your computer and speak up?
I think he's a duck.
One more time?
I think he's a duck.
A duck, okay.
Okay, can I review a couple more, just a couple of possible clues that might help you guys come up with this? So if you go back to the story and let's put together a couple of things. So when Farmer Bailey hit the man, the stranger, remember there was a cold breeze that blew across his face right before he hit the man. And it was just talking about how summer was turning to fall on that first page. And then in the next one, he hits him. And then we have when he's wearing some strange clothes, right? And he doesn't seem to be able to talk. And then the doctor comes. And when the doctor comes, he takes his temperature. What happened to the thermometer? Do you remember? The thermometer broke because the temperature was too what? Too low? Oh, okay. And then remember, he had some scoop, and he saw the steam, and the steam made it, he was so amazed by all the steam. And when he blew on his, it said, when the Katie blew on her soup, he did exactly the same thing. And Mrs. Bailey shivered and said there must be a draft in the room. And then I like when we were talking about the animal, he seems to have a connection with the animals. The animals expected him to come with them. And then he never tired. He never sweat when he was working. And he was amazed by those birds that were flying south. He did seem happy with the family. But fall wasn't coming. There were the pumpkins were getting bigger because they weren't getting pumpkins grow until the frost, and the first frost keeps them from growing. And then there's this one. This is a pretty good clue right here. All those trees being orange until poof, Bailey's house, and then now it's green. He blows on the leaf and it turns orange, and then he has to leave. And all of a sudden, their trees are orange. Does anybody, with all of those clues sort of set out, does anybody else have any other ideas about who this stranger is? That was giving those clues again might have sparked some thoughts.
Okay, Lila, what are you thinking?
So, I think that he's an animal that can control the weather, because if he can control the weather, he can have a really cold breath or a really, really hot breath. And then he also had a way of talking to the animals. And so I think he's an animal that can control the weather.
Hey, so I'm
That
gonna
looks like
tell
a human.
you, can I tell him that it's not an animal. So if you have a different idea than animal, raise your hand. Serene, and then we'll go to Jensen. Serene?
So, I think he has, when he got hit by the car, somehow he didn't lose his powers, so then he was figuring them out again like he did when he first noticed he had them. So he was trying to know what he was, and then I think he's like a person who's meant to change the seasons, and he has the power to change the seasons.
Okay.
We're getting closer.
Yes. Jensen, can you add on? Serene, fabulous thinking.
Yes, good
Add
job.
on to that, Jensen?
It's kind of like where it's kind of like in Garfield, where this one guy is controlling the weather, and he can like put some food into a machine and then it rains food. But what I think about him is kind of like a fall magician, kind of like the Mouse book.
Oh, Frederick.
Good connection.
Yeah. Okay. I see Sunny has her hand up. And then Isabella after Sunny.
I think he's changing the weather because he broke the thermometer thing that does for his temperature, and I think he was so cold that he could change the weather.
These are awesome inferences, you guys. We just got to figure out who he is. Isabella, how about the last one? And then we'll let Mrs. Harrison reveal.
I think it's the Great Houdini.
Oh, a magician. Excellent
All right.
thinking. All right, Mrs. Harrison, who
Okay,
is it?
have you heard of Jack Frost? Have you ever heard of Jack Frost? Yeah, there's some songs. There's Jack Frost nipping at your nose. So sort of you guys are right on the right idea that he's the one that was changing the weather from summer to fall, and he's so cold that as he was traveling, he was changing the leaves as he went. And then when he got hit by the truck, he got stopped, and he'd forgotten that that was his job, and that's why all those green trees were really bothering him, because he needed to be changed in the process of changing those. And then he comes back to the Baileys every year to visit. Whether they don't see him necessarily, but they know, but for a week there's a pause there, and on he goes. All right, so good questioning, my friends. You guys did a great job. So today you're going to continue with your, when we're finished here, which is going to be real super quick. Nobody leave yet though, because there's a couple of people that I want to double check with something on, so nobody leave quite yet. But I do want to share my screen and just remind, so today's assignment, you are going to do some more questioning, so keep out your notebook. All right, so from your Google Classroom today, you're going to go into the Google Classroom. You're going to go to classwork. Whoa, I don't know what happened there. You're going to go to classwork. Under this week's assignments, you're going to find the new one. It says Questioning the Stranger Part 2. Today's Friday, so you're going to click on that one. And then under that, oh boy, I have too many things going on my screen. Sorry, my friends. Here we go. There you go. Under here, here's your login to Epic. Today, you're going to have another story for Epic today. And so you're going to go ahead and get into Epic. Go from that particular login link, okay? So I know that there are possible other ways to get from other machines from that right now, but for right now, go ahead and log into it from your Chromebook. Then when you do that, you're in your class, you're going to find your name. Anytime now, it's thinking. All right, so you're going to look through the list and find everybody's in there. You're going to find your name. When you click on it, again, you're going to find that I assigned you another book. This one's a nonfiction book. See how it says Lori Harrison sent you a book? You're going to go ahead and click on check it out. It does have that reading feature, so you can use that little play button. If the book is not a just right book for you, you can, and remember to turn the pages, you can click on the side over here, and you can actually go back too. If you accidentally click too far, you can go back either way. And so if you are reading along and you're saying, I would love for you to read if it's your just right book, but if not, you've got that play button that's on the side over here, and you're going to go ahead and click it, and it will read it for you. You need to read all of the book. I noticed that some of us had troubles with yesterday's book, so you're going to go through all the book. It's only 30-some. It's same length as last time. If some of this other extra stuff is bogging you down, then just read the part that is on this part here, where the main part. But it's fun. It's interesting and fun to look at the other things as well. But you're going to go through the book, and then when you finished it, my suggestion is you could be writing questions down before, middle, and after in your notebook, and then you're going to rewind. Then you're going to fill out your Google form. So then I'm going to go back to my classroom. So here's and I can keep my Epic up, and I can go back to my mailbox and go back to that story if I need to, and have both the story up and my Google Classroom assignments and my Google form. I can have all of 1, 2, 3 tabs open at the same time. Got my Google Classroom, my questioning sheet, and the book. And I just have to click from tab to tab if I want to go back. And today's Google form says read the Helen Keller book. and using, remember that you can use the sentence starters that I was using for the stranger, and they're listed here. I wonder, why did, what if, I don't understand, I'm so confused by. Add your name for sure. Everybody did that yesterday, so good job. Everybody who filled out their Google form. What questions did you have before you read the book? So you need to think about things before. What questions do you have while you're reading the book? And what questions do you have after the book? And then you have to click submit. Otherwise, Mrs. Harrison can't see that you did your work. Now, I had a couple people who said none on one of these, on a couple of the answers. Well, we're really asking you to come up with some question. You're being the driver, not the passenger. So you need to try to fill out some question. It could be, be thoughtful for sure. But I got a couple nones inside, and you really should have some questions, but unless you're a super expert at all of these things. All right, I even have questions for sure. Okay, so Mrs. Aubin, do you want to go ahead and end that recording?
And I see some hands up, so Serene, I'll get with you in just a minute. As soon as you stop sharing your screen, Mrs. Harrison,
Oh, sorry.
to do that.
I was doing my own
Thank
thing.
you.
Yes, thank you.